My name is Minaz Manji. I'm the chairman of Twiga Tours. We are a DMC in East Africa, covering mostly Kenya and Tanzania with our own offices, our own fleet of vehicles, our own employed staff in these two countries. Presently, we are also looking to expand with our own fleet of vehicles, our own offices, our own staff, working for us in Uganda and Rwanda. We've been around for 45 years, so we started back in 1980, hoping that in 5 years' time hit the golden anniversary. Everyone asks me, how did you start this safari business? How did you get into this safari business? To be very honest, I actually was training to be an accountant auditor, but to be very honest, audit wasn't really something that I was cut out for. Back in those days, road network was in poor condition. Traversing on those rough roads, the damage it did to the vehicles, the time it took to get from Nairobi to say Maasai Mara, 6-7 hours. And when you were trying to do a circuit, it would take you longer to do a circuit than what you can do now. And it was strenuous on our visitors. I go back to AirKenya when it was still called Sunbird. Back in 1980, I remember when I had my 5 guests from Bahrain, and they did not want to do this road safari. So they requested that if they can be taken by plane. So at the time, I approached Sunbird and asked them if they could provide a charter. Because at that time, there wasn't a circuit that what we presently have, that where you went to Nanyuki and you went to Samburu and then you went to the Mara, all scheduled services that take you across the country. And then of course over the years, Sunbird changed into AirKenya, what it is now, and our association continues to strengthen year after year. It's amazing to be able to proudly say that you are associated with a fantastic company such as AirKenya for 45 years, and that relation continues to strengthen as time goes on. At one time, of course, a lot of guests now were requesting for flights. And remember also that at the time, majority of our visitors to Kenya were over 50 and 60. It was hard on them to do journeys from here to Samburu, say for example, that took 6-7 hours, then travel to Nakuru, another 6-7 hours, then to go to Maasai Mara, another 6-7 hours. Just think about it, how much time you've wasted on the road. But of course, there were these people, a lot of visitors who were requesting that, can we get flights? And Sunbird and later AirKenya came into the picture and said, well, why don't we do scheduled services to Samburu, for example, to Maasai Mara, to Amboseli, to Mombasa, and so forth. And this gave advantage to those that did not want to do road safaris. They didn't have enough time, and so they packed in 6-7 day safari into a shorter version and were able to enjoy the same experience that they would have enjoyed on 7, 8, 9, 10 day safaris. And mind you also, it has now grown the destination, because when you also have ease of access to destinations that you want to go, then it helps build your numbers. And in addition, if you were to just look at how many vehicles would be needed to just run the same number of people that we are running now, 1.5, 2 million people that we have every year, think about it. How many vehicles would you need to run that entire number of visitors? So with these airlines, also it changed the landscape. It made it easy for people to come here, easy for us as a destination to grow our numbers, and easy on the roads and on the environment. So overall, it's a plus point. There were hardly any airlines, and I remember very keenly, Sunbird were very optimistic about wanting to grow their routing. And so, they were flying into the Mara thing, and I believe it was the first airline that was actually doing the bush flights. Sunbird at the time was the one that was offering scheduled services. So obviously, to avoid a huge cost of chartering an aircraft, it made sense to always go to an airline that's offering scheduled services. And Sunbird were the players then, which was fantastic. And the management of Sunbird at the time also was very receptive to ideas. They were willing to sit with you as an operator and listen to your thought processes and say, all right, what do you think is going to be the future of this industry? And I'm glad that, I was able to explore some of the ideas with the management of Sunbird at the time, and then of course the future Air Kenya, and even today the management of Air Kenya, where we are able to sit at a table and say, what is it that we as partners can do to continue to increase our numbers to this destination. And I might want to add here that in actual fact, the company that opened the circuit from Maasai Mara to Serengeti was Twiga Tours. We actually opened that circuit by road and then approached Air Kenya to see if it was viable for them to put in a flight. And imagine where that flight has gone to. It is one of the most sought after flights, Maasai Mara, Migori, and then Tarime, and of course Air Kenya were quick to also put regional air. So for them it worked very well. I love to compare the flying experience now with the days gone by, because back in those days, now I can't remember the make of that aircraft, but it was those aircraft that were used in World War II, I think. And now when I look at our guests who have the privilege of going on a dash, it's not a small little aircraft where they have to take care of their head and bend forward to be able to walk to the front seat. It's an experience, and for our guests this is a fantastic thing that they are able to walk into the aircraft, be greeted very warmly by the pilots. And I must compliment the pilots, by the way, because at Air Kenya, and I'm proud to say that the majority of the pilots that I have flown with become friends, and we will exchange our phone numbers and keep in touch with each other. And I'm never hesitant to have our visitors fly with Air Kenya, because I know that they will get the best possible service. I'm never anxious about sending our VIP guests on Air Kenya. I think I'm one of your most passenger who's been flown on most of the Air Kenya flights, because 9 out of 10 all my flights, domestic flights, are with Air Kenya. And I appreciate the privileges that I get. Only the other day, I think I was flying to the Mara, and one of the team members, she recognized me, very quickly came up and offered to buy me coffee, and of course she wanted to pay for it, but as a man, a Kenyan man, we Kenyan men don't allow our ladies to pay. I'm grateful for this kind of services that are offered by Air Kenya. It's not an airline that will say, well, you didn't show up, so it's a no-show, and off we go. They will make the effort to find where the visitors are, where the passengers are, and then make a decision whether to leave you behind or not. Flying with Air Kenya, usually it's the warm welcome that the pilots will extend. And also, I must not forget the check-in team. The warm welcome that is extended from the security through to the check-in, and then of course on board, is something that our guests will come back and say, you know what, we were very warmly treated by Air Kenya. This is something that's fantastic. So in my opinion, and which I value very highly, is the warmth of the team at Air Kenya, starting from the security all the way to on board. It's incredible. With Air Kenya, one of the great things that I like is the reputation. When you know that you're flying with a reputable airline, the issue of safety never crosses one's mind. And in my case, in my personal case, it doesn't cross my mind. Air Kenya has always, in my opinion, been a valued partner. A partner that we have built a fantastic friendship, not just a business association, but a friendship. And I think that 45 years of that friendship speaks for itself. So my partnership with Air Kenya is, and actually I should say Twiga Tours' partnership with Air Kenya is strong, it's solid, and we want it to continue for a very, very long time. As I hand over to my two children, Shazmin and Rahim, I know that they will follow in the same footsteps, because they have already established an incredible friendship and partnership with the management at Air Kenya. We are very strong in Tanzania. We are not as strong in Uganda yet, because we don't have our own fleet of vehicles and offices. But in Tanzania, because we have our own offices and our own fleet of vehicles, the expansion of the route in Tanzania is of enormous advantage. And I would also say that our growth in Tanzania is also based on our friendship and partnership with Air Kenya, and in this case, Regional Air, because their growth is also our growth. When they have aircraft flying into various locations in Tanzania, we are able to fly far more numbers than we would have been able to do with the vehicles. I'm very pleased that when we see a need, we always approach the management of Air Kenya. And in this case, we also saw the need that Tanzania, where we are very strong, was a growing destination. And as a destination management company, and not just mine, but any other, there are limitations by road. So Air Kenya were very quick to realize and see for themselves that, you know what, there is an opportunity here. Why don't we add to this service and complement the safaris by road? And this was a fantastic move by Air Kenya to establish Regional Air and start flights into Tanzania, because remember that in Tanzania also the road structure is not as good as one would like, and we also as tour operators don't want a paved road from Ngorongoro into Serengeti. We want that rough road experience, the bush experience. In our case, we had our guests going from Arusha into Serengeti, because for us Serengeti is the highlight, and then have them fly back to Arusha. And this was perfect, because as soon as Regional Air had their flight into Manyara, Serengeti, we were now able to take advantage of that and say, well, all our guests from Serengeti can fly back to Arusha without having to go through the treacherous road all the way to Arusha, which could take as long as about 10 hours. So it was a fantastic thing, and it's a complimentary thing, because what has it done? It has grown numbers in Tanzania. Look at it. One of the things that about Air Kenya that I really like is this early morning flight from the Maasai Mara to Migori. You know, when you leave at 8:30 and you are in Migori half an hour, 40 minutes later, you clear your immigration and you are at Tarime Airport, and then you take Regional Air to your destination in Serengeti. Now imagine you left at breakfast and you are in Serengeti for lunch. It's an amazing thing, because you left with a belly full, and now you're hungry on the way, and you get arrive with an empty belly, so you can now fill up yourself at Serengeti. So what a wonderful way to do a safari. Enjoy breakfast in Mara and lunch in Serengeti. That's a fantastic, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful circuits, flight circuits that I continue to use and enjoy. I want to actually, on my behalf and on my company's behalf, Twiga Tours, I want to say a huge thank you to Air Kenya, because, you know, as a partner for us, we've grown together. There were limitations on what we can do with our road safaris, but with the addition of flights that has helped us to increase our numbers, obviously we've grown tremendously, and we are hoping that, you know, as Air Kenya continues to expand its own network, we will be able to take advantage of that network to continue to grow our business as they grow theirs. It's a partnership that always walks hand in hand, and I think that walking hand in hand, as the saying goes, if you want to go a short distance, walk on your own. If you want to go much further, work with people, and for us, that person or that company is Air Kenya. Asante sana.